In its latest update, the governing body announced several developments that may seem unrelated. A worldwide preaching campaign, a promotional video, a new page on jw.org, a temporary change involving circuit overseer visits, a series about Jesus, a stronger emphasis on the daily text, and a new category of music created primarily for young Jehovah's Witnesses. Viewed separately, these may appear to be minor adjustments, but when placed together, they reveal a larger strategy. The organization is building a system that is more digital, more audiovisual, more centralized, and more deeply integrated into the daily lives of its members. It begins with what a witness sees on a phone in the morning. It continues through family worship, meetings, and preaching. It reaches interested people through trailers and carefully designed web pages. And now it extends into music, created specifically for a younger generation. The most revealing moment in the update was a seemingly innocent question: who chooses your spiritual food? That question goes directly to the relationship between the individual witness and the organization claiming to provide spiritual instruction from God. Today, we will examine what was actually announced without exaggerating the facts. Circuit overseers have not permanently stopped giving talks. Door-to-door preaching has not been abolished. Jehovah's Witnesses have not suddenly discovered Jesus for the first time. But the confirmed developments still reveal how the organization is adapting its methods to maintain attention, standardize its message, attract outsiders, and remain relevant to younger members. Part 1. Who really chooses the spiritual food? The governing body update compares spiritual instruction to physical food. The speaker explains that physical food keeps a person alive, while spiritual food keeps someone alive spiritually. He then asks who decides what food the individual will eat. At first, the answer seems obvious. The individual normally decides. But when the comparison moves to spiritual food, the message changes. The speaker explains that Jehovah provides spiritual food through the faithful and discreet slave. This creates an important tension. The member is told that spiritual nourishment is a personal responsibility. No one can study or meditate for you. Yet the organization simultaneously presents itself as the authorized supplier of the material members are expected to consume. The individual may choose whether to eat, but the menu has already been prepared. Personal study within the Jehovah's Witness environment usually means using the Watchtower online library, JW Library, the research guide, the daily text, and other materials approved by the organization. Reading the Bible is encouraged, but the Bible is surrounded by an institutional framework explaining how its passages should be understood. There is nothing unusual about a religious organization producing study materials. The problem begins when one organization does not merely describe its publications as helpful interpretations, but presents them as spiritual food supplied by Jehovah through his appointed channel. What happens if an individual reads the Bible and reaches a conclusion that differs from the governing body? Can that person openly reject an organizational interpretation and remain in good standing? Can a witness consult critical or independent sources without being viewed as spiritually endangered? Can someone question the identity of the faithful and discreet slave without risking privileges, relationships, or even their position in the congregation? These questions expose the limits of the choice described in the update. A witness can decide when to study and which organizational tool to open, but the freedom to question the supplier is much narrower. When an institutional interpretation is described as food coming from Jehovah, disagreement can be treated as rejecting God's provision. The update then demonstrates how this content can become part of a member's routine from the moment the day begins. One participant explains that before going to sleep, he opens the daily text in JW Library and locks his phone. When he wakes up, the daily text is the first thing he sees. Many Christians begin their morning with prayer or Bible reading. But in this case, the first content displayed is not only a biblical verse, it is a verse selected in advance and accompanied by commentary drawn from Watchtower publications. The member begins the day with the Bible interpreted through the organization. Other members describe discussing the text at breakfast, sharing it with friends, applying it to their children's problems, and remembering its central message throughout the day. The organization's interpretation becomes present in family conversations, personal concerns, and emotional decisions. One participant even says that through the daily text, Jehovah speaks to the family every morning. That statement demonstrates how organizational material can become connected with the voice of God. The commentary is no longer experienced as merely the work of religious writers. It can be perceived as a personal message from Jehovah. This is the first major element of the strategy. making organizational interpretation feel personal, necessary, and present at the beginning of every day. If you value careful analysis based on the organization's own statements instead of rumors or unsupported theories, please like this video and subscribe to Kingdom Wisdom. Part 2, From Personal Preaching to Centralized Video. The second part of the strategy moves from the home into the Kingdom Hall and then into the preaching work. The governing body announced that during circuit overseer visits from September 2026 through February 2027, the circuit overseer's usual public talk will be replaced by the first part of episode 2 of the series about the life and ministry of Jesus. It is important to be precise. The update did not announce that circuit overseers will permanently stop giving talks. It concerns one public talk during a specific period. Nevertheless, the arrangement reveals the organization's growing use of centralized audiovisual content. A live speaker introduces some variation. Even when following an approved outline, the circuit overseer has his own delivery, illustrations, and relationship with the local audience. A pre-recorded production removes most of that variation. Every congregation receives the same wording, images, emotional pacing, and conclusions. From an administrative perspective, this guarantees consistency and production quality. It also prevents a speaker from introducing unintended ideas. But greater consistency also means greater centralization. For this presentation, the individual voice gives way to content controlled by headquarters. Is this simply a temporary promotional campaign, or is the organization also testing how congregations respond when traditional live instruction is replaced by media produced at headquarters? There is not enough evidence to say that videos will replace all public talks, but the organization is clearly developing the ability to distribute one controlled presentation to thousands of congregations at the same time. The same strategy appears in the preaching announcements. The governing body revealed that a short video has been prepared for use in the ministry. A new page on JW.org will encourage visitors to watch the series. That page includes a trailer intended to create curiosity and descriptions helping visitors select episodes based on the gospel accounts that interest them. This creates a carefully designed path for potential converts. First, a witness introduces a short promotional video. The trailer creates interest without presenting the complete message. The person is then directed to JW.org, where the content is organized to encourage further viewing. That visitor may later accept an invitation to watch the special presentation at a Kingdom Hall. In marketing, this structure resembles a digital funnel. A person moves from brief exposure to curiosity, from curiosity to the organization's platform, and from the platform toward deeper engagement. The publisher remains important, but the role may be changing. Instead of personally explaining a complicated doctrine, the publisher increasingly serves as a guide, directing people toward standardized content. A personal conversation is unpredictable. A video can be written, reviewed, edited, translated, and distributed without variation. Headquarters controls what is emphasized, what is omitted, and what action the viewer is encouraged to take next. This does not mean that door-to-door preaching is ending. The confirmed development is more subtle. The personal conversation is increasingly becoming an entry point into the organization's digital environment. Jesus is the ideal figure for that entry point. Jehovah's Witnesses have always taught about Jesus, so it would be inaccurate to say that the organization previously ignored him. What is different is the scale and strategic use of this series. Jesus is immediately familiar to people from many Christian backgrounds. A professionally produced gospel series creates less resistance than beginning with controversial teachings such as 1914, the overlapping generation, blood transfusions, disfellowshipping policies, or the authority of the faithful and discreet slave. A person may watch an appealing story about Jesus without understanding how different the complete Jehovah's Witness belief system is from traditional Christianity. Jesus opens the door. JW.org provides the pathway, and the study program gradually introduces the organizational structure. That does not make the series dishonest by itself. The real issue is transparency. At what point will an interested person learn that progressing in a Bible study involves accepting the authority of the governing body? When will that person learn about restrictions involving blood, holidays, political neutrality, and association with former members? Will the attractive introduction be accompanied by an equally clear explanation of the commitments expected later? Part 3. A strategy designed for young witnesses. The final announcement concerns international music. These songs will be available on JW.org and JW Library and will reflect musical styles from different parts of the world. Most importantly, the speaker openly states that they were created primarily for young people. There is no evidence connecting this music to secret experiments or hidden psychological programs. The real announcement is revealing enough. The organization believes it needs content specifically designed for young Jehovah's Witnesses. Music creates memories, emotional associations, identity, and belonging. A statement heard in a lecture may be forgotten, but a melody can remain in someone's mind for years. Music can also provide younger members with something that feels contemporary while keeping them inside an approved religious environment. The leadership understands that younger witnesses do not live only in the world of printed magazines and formal meetings. They live in a media environment shaped by smartphones, streaming platforms, global music, and constant digital content. The organization's response is to build its own alternatives: a digital library, broadcasting system, original films, children's programs, trailers, music, and mobile applications. Young members are being offered an internal cultural environment in which faith, entertainment, and institutional identity become closely connected. The international style of the music may also strengthen the feeling of belonging to a worldwide brotherhood. A young witness can hear music from another country and feel part of something global and larger than the local congregation. That can be especially powerful for young people who already feel different from classmates because they do not celebrate birthdays or holidays, avoid certain activities, and are encouraged to form their closest relationships inside the congregation. The music communicates that everything they need, truth, community, emotional encouragement, and entertainment, can be found within the organization. Taken together, the daily text targets the routine of active members. Centralized videos standardize what congregations watch. Trailers and dedicated web pages attract outsiders. The Jesus series provides a familiar entry point. International music strengthens the emotional connection of young people. These are not random announcements. They form an ecosystem. Conclusion. The latest governing body update reveals an organization adapting to a world in which attention is divided and traditional religious participation faces growing pressure. It is learning to compete for the first moments of the morning, the screen inside the Kingdom Hall, the conversation at the door, the curiosity of potential converts, and the musical attention of young members. Its influence is becoming more daily because organizational content can reach members through their phones. It is becoming more audiovisual because videos and music communicate through emotion as well as words. It is becoming more centralized because the same approved material can be distributed worldwide. And it is becoming more targeted because specific content can be created for active members, interested outsiders, families, or young adults. Videos, music, and daily Bible reading are not automatically harmful. The deeper concern appears when these tools are controlled by an institution that also presents itself as the exclusive channel through which God supplies spiritual truth. The update tells Jehovah's Witnesses to accept personal responsibility for their spiritual nourishment. But genuine responsibility requires more than deciding when to open JW Library. It requires the freedom to examine the supplier, compare interpretations, consult independent evidence, and reach different conclusions without fear of losing one's position or relationships. That returns us to the most important question raised by the update. Who chooses your spiritual food? If the individual truly chooses, that person must be free to investigate beyond the approved menu. But if one institution alone defines what is safe, healthy, and acceptable, then the choice may be much narrower than it appears. The new strategy is not simply about a video series, a preaching campaign, or new music. It is about creating an environment in which the organization remains present from morning until night, from childhood into adulthood, and from a person's first moment of curiosity to complete religious commitment. Together, these announcements reveal the construction of a more modern, more centralized, and more continuous system of religious influence.